Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. Ako po si John Mark P. Flora. So ngayon, gagawa po tayo ng tamang proseso kung paano kumuha ng rolled fingerprint and line impression fingerprint. But bago yan, ito po ang kailangan nating gamitin. Alcohol, tissue, tapos mag-apply nito sa kamay ng ating subject. And ang the main material is the ink pad or stamp pad. Tara, sundan ako. Dapat natin hugasan ang kamay ng ating subject. Ito ang alcohol. At ang pamunas na tissue. So, ayan. So, ito guys, pagkatapos natin hugasan ang kamay ng ating subject, dapat tupiin natin ang ating fingerprint card para hindi magkabulbul ang mga pattern sa ating fingerprint card. So, ito. Unahin natin ang thumb ng ating subject. Gagawin natin ang road pattern. And ang susunod natin ay ang point finger. So, ang susunod natin gawin ay ang kanang kamay ng ating subject. Una ay ang kanyang thumb. Dapat dahan-dahan natin gawin ito. Susunod ay kanyang index finger. Susunod natin gawin ay ang plain impression fingerprint. So, dapat sabay natin kunan ang apat na finger ng ating subject. Ang little, ring, index, at saka middle finger. So, tara. Ayun. The next is the right thumb. And the left four fingers. Gently put this finger the last is left thumb. So that's it. Ito na. So, ayun guys, tapos na nating kuhanan ng fingerprint ang ating subject na si Lester Garnica. At ito ang kanyang right thumb, right index finger, right middle finger, the ring finger of the right, and the little finger. And that is his left thumb, left index finger, left middle finger, and the left ring finger, and it's the left little finger. So before we classify it, we should find its tracing ridge because most of the pattern are whorl pattern. So we should find its tracing ridge so that we can identify its outer, inner, or meeting tracing. So that's it. As we see, there's a pencil line which is identified as the tracing ridge. And this is the delta and the right delta. After we draw a tracing ridge, we count its ridge. So it is 3. So that it is outer and so forth. This is whorl and it's black. It is black as W, 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 and its radial loop as black as R. Uh, Plain whorl as W, plain whorl, ulnar loop. That's it. So, as we all know that if it is whorl, we should indicate it as W. And in the primary classification, as we all know that whorl only has the value. So, we write it in a blocking form as W, 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 and the numerator as radial, R as radial, W, 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 and this is ulnar loop, ulnar, ulnar. So this is, so we indicate its value. This is 16, 16, 8, 8, and 4, and the numerator, since it's radial, it has no value, and followed by W, it's 2, 2, 1, and this is no value. So as we cross it from the first line to the other, so 16 plus 2 plus 8 plus 1 is equals plus 4, it is equals to 31. So 31 is the denominator, 31. So since this has no value, we jump it to the numerator. 16 plus 2, 18 plus 8, 26 plus 1 is, this is 0. So 26 is the numerator. 26. So we add 1 both sides so that this has no 0 value. So 26 plus 1 over 31 plus 1 equals 27 over 32. So this is the primary classification. And after we find the primary classification, we put it in a classification formula. This is the primary. So that's it. After we finish the primary classification, we jump it to the secondary classification. The secondary classification has focuses on the index finger, both hands. So number 2 and 7. This is the pattern we should focus. This is the capital letter group, and this is the small letter group. This is. So we put first the capital letter group as W, since it is plain whorl, and W since it is also plain whorl. And since the small letter group focuses on the radial, plain arch, and tinted arch, so dash is represented as the other pattern. So since this is not a radial, uh, plain arch and dented arch, so we put it as dash. So since it is 3 dash successively, we put it 3 dash. And also below is does not belong to the pattern radial and plain arch and dented arch, so we put it as 3 dash also. And the thumb is the dash since it whirls, and R because it is the radial loop. So this is the secondary classification. So after we find it, we should put it in the classification formula. So this is the secondary classification. So that's it. After that, we should find its subsecondary classification. This is the subsecondary classification. Since subsecondary classification focuses only on the whirls and loops, so since it focuses on the index finger, middle finger, and the ring finger for both hands, so since it is the sixth pattern, it is swirls. So we put it based on the tracing that we find. So in the index finger of the right hand is inner tracing. So put it as I. In the left hand, so it is inner tracing also. We put it as I also. And the middle finger is the outer tracing, so put O. And the middle finger of the left hand, so it is inner tracing, so put it as I. And the ring finger is the inner tracing, so because has a tracing ridge of 6, so and it is inside the right delta, so we put it as I. And below it is inner tracing also. This is the ring finger of the left hand, so this is I. So this is the subsecondary classification, so we put it in this classification formula. So this is the subsecondary classification. So we jump it to the major classification. Major classification focuses only on the uh, uh, finger number 1 and 6. So this is the thumb, the left thumb, and the right thumb. So as the major classification focuses on also and rules and loops, so we put it as O in the numerator because it is outer tracing, because it has a tracing ridge of 3, so it is O. And after that, we should count it, that the ridge count of the loop. So as we all know, this is 21. So 21, according to the formula of the loop, if it is 1 to 16 is small, 17 to and so this is the, we put it as L because it is in the formula 21 is under the large formula of the loop under major classification. So this is the major classification. We put it in the left side of the primary classification. This is the major classification. So that's it. In the K classification, it focuses on the ridge count of the first loop appearing in the pattern. So the K classification is put in the left of the major classification in the numerator. So we find the loop in the pattern. So this is the world, 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 plain world, plain world, and this is the loop. And the first appearing, but K classification focuses on the whole pattern, but the exemption is the little finger because it is used as in the final classification. So we find the first loop appearing in the pattern in the left hand. So the range count of the loop is 21. So this is the K classification. This is, we put it in the numerator. This is the K classification. So in the final classification focuses on the first uh, the loop in the little finger. So since the the little finger of the right hand is loop whirl, so we focuses on the loop in the 10th finger or the little finger of the left hand. So this is the ulnar loop. So we count its ridge count. So this is the core, this is the delta. So I counted its ridge count and it is 14. So we put it in the denominator. So this is the final classification since the little finger of the left hand has the ridge count of 14. So 14, we put it in the denominator. So we write it out again. This is 27 over 32. Uh, W W 3 dash since it has 3 consecutive dashes. 3 dash R since it reads a loop and dash. And the subsecondary, this is inner tracing. The index finger of the left hand is inner tracing also. Uh, outer tracing, uh, inner tracing, inner. The ring finger of the left hand is inner also. So this is, as we can see, this is all world pattern. This is world, plain world, plain world, plain world, plain world, plain world, and plain world. So we uh, put the major classification. So since the major classification focuses on the thumb of the both hands, number 1 and 6, so the thumb of the right finger is outer tracing, so it's put as O, and L as, because it has a reach count of 21 and it is under the formula given in the previous lesson. So in the key classification is 21, so because it is the reach count of the first appearing loop in the pattern, so this is 21 in the numerator, and the 14 is the final classification. So that's it. That's all. Thank you. Salamat. I hope you learned. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.